Hello, my friends.
Yeah. Someday I will extend that.
Good to be back.
It'll be a project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so
Four of
excited.
us.
I was so excited because one of my favorite shirts of all time is no longer in print. But I reached out to the guy who made the T-shirt, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't make those T-shirts anymore, but I have a sticker of it." And he sent me a bunch of stickers.
Oh.
And so he sent me this sticker, and Jason, you'll probably recognize it.
Yeah.
It's an RF switch to switch between a video game system or a
heck yeah,
computer
that's
and
hot.
a TV. Yeah, I love this.
It was a T-shirt, but he no longer makes a T-shirt. That's a bummer.
And I have the T-shirt somewhere. This T-shirt is actually my co-founder, Scorbit, Jay Adelson, former CEO of Dig. I was wearing this T-shirt when we met. And this was the T-shirt that Jay decided I was someone that he could be friends with.
That was the unification.
Yeah, because he saw me wearing that T-shirt, and he's like, he gets it. And
Yeah,
so,
that's my person. That's my people.
Hey, Ron, it's 2025. You could definitely custom order that T-shirt now that you have that design.
It's true.
I could, but I would have to get his permission.
It'd be a bootleg.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I have one of those in my house too. What are the two prong forky things on that RF switch for?
So they would go to the
antenna, right?
The antenna hookup, right? So yeah, so those two prongy things would go to the focus.
Yeah.
They would screw onto a little thing that then had a coax adapter, or they would go into the two prongs where the antenna went on the TV. Right?
Yeah.
They were the input. Yeah. So
Beautiful. Okay. Because I remember having those, and I would just kind of do, like kind of ding, 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 ding with that.
You just flick them.
Just flick them.
You wouldn't attach them to anything. You were like,
Nope.
oh, it's a fidget.
I think it just lived in our media console. I don't think it got hooked up for whatever reason. It was just like a piece thing around.
It was a remnant.
Yes.
Yep. I loved it.
Like an appendix.
It was my favorite thing in the world.
Although I always found that particular one, especially the switch knob, was kind of pointy, and sometimes it wouldn't move easily, and it would poke your fingers.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my excitement of the week. As if we didn't have enough to get excited about this week.
Pong and the Atari. Yes, exactly. That's about the time period for that. Yeah, definitely. It was Pong Atari time period for sure. BOL, Blast from Past. Yeah, true. It is indeed 20 years ago. Crazy. Every gray hair on my head tells you that it was a blast from the past. 20 years have passed, in fact. Everyone who is here, yes, I agree, required daily listening at the time. You can still listen to them daily. The entire catalog. Where is it? It's
on Archive?
Buzztown Archive. It is buzztownarchive.com. And all of the episodes are there. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you so that you know that it's true. See? Including the episode that we did just this March, which was the 20th anniversary episode, which is we all still look exactly the same, which is true.
I remember at the moment I knew I really loved the podcast because I think Molly Wood told a story of walking into a Radio Shack and needing a very specific thing. And she got, if you might pardon the expression, mansplained by the person running the Radio Shack. And I was like, this lady gets it.
Well,
This lady gets it. It's like, I don't need you to, just give me the thing. Just give me the thing. I don't need you to explain or ask me any questions. I know what I'm doing. And I was like, yes. These are my people over here.
Yeah. Oh, Radio Shack.
I miss Radio Shack.
Yeah.
I used to go there and just hang out, even though it was crappy and overpriced. But it was, it was a place to go.
Right? It was. I would ride my bicycle to Radio Shack, and I would play the Tandy.
The Tandy.
The Tandy computer, which was a total trash computer, but it had games, and they'd let you stand in the place and play them for the time period that I did, anyways.
Yep.
Who is doing the ad this week? Do you want to do it, Ron?
I set you to do it in the doc because I did it last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Is that a pain in the butt though? Because you got to do all the thing.
Let me see here. Let me just make sure because this time it is the.
It's back to the original one, and this is our last read, by the way. So.
Oh.
So let's give Square a proper send off.
Oh, I don't want this to be the last read.
And
I want this to be a forever thing.
Well, I'm gonna do my best.
You're already doing so much. Ron. I
Listen,
appreciate you.
that's not just up to me. Everyone in the listening audience, please, after you watch this live stream, go hit play on YouTube about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then go download the podcast about 10 more times each, and then
and then tweet out. We appreciate squares.
help us drive those impressions. That would really help us.
For sure. We want more of those.
Yes.
It really helps. Okay. Then let me think here. So, okay. That'll be easy enough for me to doopy doopy doo. Doopy doopy doop doop doop. And then switch. And then play the music. Take it off loop. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Right. So, and once Wynn gets back, we can make sure she's okay because I have her at the top of the show. So.
Right.
Right. And
Unlike
then
you guys, I don't have any fond memories of going to a Radio Shack because I don't remember.
So Michelle, though, are your fond memories going to Best Buy or Circuit City?
I love Best Buy. I still go to Best Buy on occasion, and I also have a Micro Center in my city, which I am very grateful to have one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Micro Center is.
If you're at all into like PC components and PC parts, it's like the best place.
Is it like Fry's?
It's Fry's is like has like 5-year-old, 6-year-old stuff, and they're going out of business everywhere. But like,
I was gonna say, is
it's
Fry's
a much better
dead?
version of Fry's.
Did Fry's
Micro
die?
Center,
Or
yeah.
I think there's only like a handful of Fry's left, and the few that exist have like 10-year-old components, if anything.
I remember moving to San Francisco and like Patrick Norton telling me about how Fry's was like a mecca, and I never went to Fry's in all the years I lived in San
I don't know
Francisco.
that I've ever been to Fry's either.
Which is funny because you would. I feel like aren't Fry's in the North Bay or South there?
I mean, maybe I did,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
know that it was like I'm finally
Yeah.
at Fry's. It probably just ended up there, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like Circuit City.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
kinda
Circuit
thing.
City. So Circuit City and Best Buy was literally like there was a time period to go to Radio Shack, and then there was a time period in like the early 2000s of just bouncing between Circuit City and
Yes.
Best Buy, and like
Yes.
yeah, so yeah.
And I've never been to Micro Center, though I write articles for them.
You're there mentally. So.
I was told I was too low. Is this okay? I notched up my gain a tiny bit.
Let's get
Sounds
an audio check from.
sounds good to me.
From YouTube
sound
and
fine to
Twitch. Clinton and Ja and anybody else in the chat. Can you tell us how everybody sounds?
Are we balanced?
Wynn,
between
are
each
you
other?
okay with opening the show? Are you
Yes,
good with
I
that?
am.
Cool. Okay. That's
Was
your welcome back after missing last week. Is you get to open the show. So.
I was attending a 4-year-old's birthday.
Oh, who won?
Who won?
Yeah.
And the 4-year-old's birthday? The 4-year-old.
Okay, good. That's important. So
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
the
no, she
parents
did.
win, sometimes the 4-year-old wins, sometimes.
Oh, yeah, no, she won. She won.
She won lots of Bluey presents.
Fun times.
She watched a lot of Bluey. She got a lot of some kind of princess present. I'm not sure.
Okay, that sounds about right for 4 years old.
Yeah, she loves Bluey though. Does love
I
Bluey.
mean, my daughter just turned 12. She loves Bluey.
Well, Bluey.
Loves it.
I'm 47 and I love Bluey.
Yeah,
I will
it's
watch it
great.
by myself. It is very well written. It is
Yes,
very good.
Yeah,
Intensely.
my card to her for her birthday was a Bluey card that when you opened it up, it played the song.
Nice. Yeah.
I saw it. I was like, oh, I got to get
It
that.
is very funny.
Have you heard the EDM remix of the Bluey song?
No.
There's
It's
several
good.
of
I'll
them.
have to find it. It's a jam.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
They just released the Burger Dog song. From the mini episodes, Burger Dog, he was a burger dog. Anyway,
Wow,
yeah,
you're going deep into
yeah. Well, this is what
Bluey
happens.
lore.
Yeah, we are completists in the Richards household. So
I don't have any cousins young enough at the moment to familiarize myself with Bluey. Like I haven't seen. I don't even know what it's like. What kind of aesthetic it is.
Michelle, just
like-
watch it yourself. Pull up the Disney Plus and just
Is it
start
like
at the
Dora the
beginning.
Explorer or
Delightful.
something? Like
No,
what is it
no,
most
I mean-
similar to?
It's
I don't
very
know.
good.
That's a
It's
good
it's very
question.
good. Oh god, it's now we're
It's
getting
very
off
wholesome, but not in a cheesy sort of way. Like it's
I would hope it's wholesome, but it's literally targeted for kids, right?
Well, yeah, but there's like wholesome that is like, oh my god, I'm an adult and
It's-
I can't stand to watch this or listen to another second of it. And then there's wholesome that's like, oh yeah, that's done perfectly.
So yeah, so
done
it's
perfectly.
it's done for kids at a level of humor that has like people falling and like weird shit happening that makes them laugh. But then there's an undercurrent of adult writing that makes it not annoying for adults to have to watch with the kids.
Yeah,
So like
totally.
there are
That's a good way
jokes
to
that the
put it.
kids don't laugh at that we laugh at, right? And there's
Right.
like and there's
There's
also
an awareness.
and there's also a very subtle long game story that's happening if you're paying attention in the background of like characters talking to each other, and then like 5 episodes later someone's pregnant, and like and if you're willing to do the work, it's like really engaging, right? So it's yeah.
The kid likes to dictate which ones, so we never watch them in order. So I
Yeah.
never.
Well, you
pick
don't
up
have
on
to,
it.
which is great too. That's a good thing. Is you don't have to.
I
Yeah.
like
so.
hearing. I want to know what the arc is because that's so damn delightful.
That's so funny.
Did you
Michelle,
ever see
say
the,
a few words. I just boosted you a little bit per request.
Okay. How do I sound now?
Yeah, sounds a little better.
Okay.
and they're saying when is
They'll let
that
us
a little
know.
low too? Yeah. So
Fog, I missed. I had to stay away from the draft because the Deion Sanders son. I always forget his name. Sadur. Sorry, I just had to stay away from the draft
Sanders
this year.
Jr..
Like, too much of that noise, and I just kind of Oh, I sound muffled. Is it because I'm sick? Shadur Sanders, yes.
Your microphone is just a bit more dynamic.
yeah, everyone's saying it should be louder. It does sound to me. It does sound a little softer
Okay.
than usual.
All right.
So I don't
I've
know.
just boosted some more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes it's weird in StreamYard. Sometimes I move that slider almost half the way, and it hardly makes a change. And then with other people, it's like really obvious. It's a constant gripe of
Let
mine.
me
I
let me
should
see
shut
if I
up
have
about
any
it.
weird. No, I don't have any of the echo cancellation. There is a mic volume in there. Should I?
I think we all of us have the. Oh, you turned it off for me also.
Yeah, I'm adjusting. I can.
Oh,
I
you're
have full
adjusting it.
control
Okay.
over your settings,
Oh,
at least in
Full
StreamYard.
control.
Ooh, ha ha ha.
The vertical and the horizontal. Or
Yeah,
the
I think. I
horizontal
mean,
and
it sounds
vertical.
better to me, but
Okay.
Yeah.
and then I mean the audio download, I level it all out, so it'll be even better there.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's just roll because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
tonight.
today's a big day. If you hadn't heard, and you haven't heard, because we haven't told you why it's big yet.
It's gonna be big.
It's a tease.
Secret.
It's a secret, and
Keep
you're
it
gonna have to
secret,
wait
keep
to
it safe.
find out. Okay, so we are recording. I'm gonna backstage Michelle. I'm going to backstage Ron. Goodbye to you, sir. I'm going to turn off my camera, which is how I can do that and still be heard. Okay, so when I'm gonna do the ad, and then I'll flick over to the normal screen and start the music, and we'll be off.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, stand by, because here we go. This episode of Android Faithful is brought to you by the Square Mobile Payments SDK. Developers, now it's easier than ever to integrate the market leader for payments into your mobile apps. Find out more at bit.ly/Android Faithful.
Welcome back to Android Faithful, where we, every week, bring you the latest news, hardware, and apps in the world of Android. I am Quinn Twitdow.
I am Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Michelle Rahman.
Back, all of us together at one
Together
time.
again.
It's amazing.
Hooray! The team's together. It's always good when we're together. Welcome back, Win. We missed you last week.
I missed you guys too, but I was attending a 4-year-old's birthday and it was delightful.
With
Yay.
so much Bluey, the aforementioned Bluey, as we were talking
Yes.
about early in the pre-show of the live stream.
Sometimes the pre-show goes blue-y.
Bluey,
And,
yeah, it's wholesome. It's wholesome, as we
wholesome.
told Michelle. Yeah.
And I still have no idea what Bluey's about, but you're all telling me to go watch it, so I might.
And not only Bluey, but we were also talking about Radio Shack and Fry's and some electronic stores.
Micro
and
Center.
stuff. Yeah, these are the fun things you want to catch. We go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. For those of you listening to the podcast, if you ever want to see the mayhem that happens on a live show, we're on the Daily Tech News Show YouTube and Twitch channels, so you can go check that out. If after 2 years you didn't know that. You might be a new listener. This might be your first show. You never know. So
Sometimes
if
we
it
take
is.
for granted
Yeah.
because we're just doing it, and we don't know that like most of the people are listening, and they aren't exposed to the live stream every single time. So it's good to mention every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is also might be a good time to mention that you could support us over at patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. And we're super excited because this is episode number 92 of Android Faithful, which means that we are 8 episodes away from episode 100, which means that we're also 8 episodes away from our 2-year anniversary. And so leading into our 2-year anniversary of the show, we wanted to see how we can mix things up a little over on the Patreon.
Spice it up.
Yeah, obviously we're here because so many of you have stepped up and supported the show. We couldn't do the show without all of you who are supporting the show. We thank you so much. But we also we have big plans and we want to do bigger and awesome things. And so we wanted to kind of tweak the Patreon a little to kind of give a little more value to those of you who've been supporting us for the past 2 years, as well as maybe provide some value to those of you who have been on the fence, who haven't wanted to make the jump to come over to Patreon to support us. So we can just get right into it before we start the show to tell you what these exciting changes are. Over on patreon.com/AndroidFaithful, we just posted a little update that explains it all. We refreshed the graphics. We got some brand new graphics on there. You can check it out. But first and foremost, I'm going to go through all these and
there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah. But Michelle, Wynn, Jason, feel free to chime in as we go through it. First off, the patron pick. So every week you all get to, our supporting patrons get to pick on a story that we talk about on the podcast, which is awesome. Moving forward now, you can also submit stories for us to consider to add to the show, as well as submit stories to be involved in the patron pick. So every Wednesday on Patreon, a post is going to go up, and then patrons can submit stories in the comments of that post, and then the cutoff will be Monday morning. Because as we record the show on Tuesday, we will use those to consider what stories will go into the patron pick, as well as what stories will go on the show. So you're going to help us make the show. That's pretty awesome. That's available to everyone who supports on Patreon. So
yeah, and you'll be able to, like Ron said, put that into the comments. Don't send us links in social media and all these other places and everything, because it's probably not going to make it into the one place where it needs to go. Patrons, put it into the comments. That's where we're going to be checking.
Exactly. So you guys asked for this. Here it is. There it is.
Boom.
Second up, patrons exclusive quarterly live stream. This is something that we offered when we launched the website last year. We actually never got around to doing it because we've been so busy, but we really want a spot to talk about things other than Android or technology, to talk about Bluey, to talk about what was the electronics store you went to? What was it called? Micro Center, right?
Magical place.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. So we're going to be hosting a quarterly live stream that's exclusive to patrons, that you'll be able to attend live, ask us questions, hang out with us. If you can't watch it live, the recording will be available on Patreon. And so, yeah, that'll be fun. That's pretty standard, but I know, Jason, you do it with some of your patrons over on your personal Patreon. I know I do it over at my Fanboy. So, yeah. So
kind of an opportunity to just talk about whatever. I mean, it could be Android. It's really kind of up to you. If we show up, if you're throwing in comments, you want to hear us talk about a certain thing or have a question for us, just throw it in there. But yeah, a lot of fun.
Since we launched the Patreon, we've offered an ad-free version of the audio podcast. We're going to continue to do that. You're scrolling up too far. We're going to continue to do that, but we're actually going to make it more accessible. Previously, the ad-free audio podcast was available at the $10 a month tier. We're dropping it down to the $5 tier. We got a ton of feedback from folks who wanted it at the lower price tier. So once again, we're responding to that feedback, and we just want to make it more accessible to more people. So if you're listening to the podcast through the normal, subscription, through, any, Spotify or Pocket Casts or wherever you might listen to, and you want to get rid of those pesky ads, pop over to Patreon. You can get a feed for just $5 a month. You can get at least 4 episodes a month with no ads. That's $1.25 per episode. That's a pretty good value, right? So you can get that ad-free podcast now for just $5 a month. So there you go.
That was also highly requested. So yay, here we go.
So, Jason, I'll let you. I made a graphic at the last minute that no one has seen yet, not even Wynn or Michelle has seen yet, and this is something that I think altogether we're all really excited about. Jason, I'll let you explain this next one.
Yeah, okay. So we are introducing something called Android Faithful After Hours, and essentially what this is. So we've taken the ad-free version of our episodes and moved that down to the $5 tier, but we're not doing that because we want everybody who was at $10 to now reduce to $5. We want to give you more value at $10 and get more people through the door at $5. And then at the $10 tier, we have Android Faithful after hours. And the cool thing about this is that every week we've got 3 patron picks and we only choose one. We're left with a couple that we don't talk about. And then every week we've got news stories that make it, don't make it onto the show, that they're on the cutting room floor because we just can't fit it into the main podcast. Same goes for emails. And so we were like, well, how about every single week after our episode, we fire off a recording and, take some time and talk about some of these extra things, give you at the $10 level extra content, basically an extra episode. It's a shorter episode, but an extra episode every single week. We hope that will give you enough value to pony up to the $10 level. We're really looking forward to it. We're starting it tonight. So immediately, if you're at the $10 level, you're going to get a new episode.
Yep. So it's going to be available exclusively on Patreon. So you have to be a supporting patron at the $10 level or higher to get it. And also on that show, we're committed to answering your questions. So if you send us an email from here on out, mention that you are a supporting patron or send us a message on Patreon. And we're going to make sure that we answer your questions every week on the after hour show if we don't get to it on the regular show. So we definitely want to hear from everybody and give you more content. So that's basically what it is. And then going through the rest of the stuff, at the $10 level, I want to throw in a little merch. So now you can get a mug.
Yeah.
So everybody needs a little AF in their coffee. So
That's right.
If you support us at the $10 per month level, after 3 months, you get an Android Faithful mug, a wraparound mug, which I think is pretty darn cool.
Coffee AF.
I love merch. And then
Looks good too.
And then finally, the last bit is we are continuing to offer the patron of the month level, but we have lowered the price. If you want to come on the show and be a guest on the show, all you got to do is sign up for $300 a month, and you could be a guest on the show for one episode. You need to be at least a patron for 1 month before we book you, and you would have our eternal gratitude. I've done this over on the iFanboy podcast. It's a blast when it actually happens. We know eccentric benefactors are out there. Open up your wallets. Come on the show. We want to hear from you.
You'll get a T-shirt too, by the way.
I dare you to do it. So
right, it's one of a kind T-shirt along with that.
Yes, you do get a one of a kind T-shirt that is yet to be designed, but it's gonna be pretty cool.
We're gonna make it special.
Yeah,
special
exactly.
just for you.
Yes.
So that is I'm so excited, you guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
So hopefully everyone else is excited too. But yeah.
We'll certainly find out. Probably in a matter of minutes, we'll find out.
But yeah, let us know, and please do, if you are a supporting patron and this is stuff that you're into, let us know if you like it. If you're like, this is BS, I don't like it, tell us why. If you're not a supporting patron and this still doesn't do it for you, also let us know. Write us in at contact@androidfaithful.com. I want to hear from you because like I said, we do have eyes on growing this thing and doing more beyond our second year, and some more exciting stuff is coming, but we need your support in order to do that. And so we're hoping that you all kind of step up and take the challenge and enjoy the content that we want to make for you. So
I think the beauty of this, in my opinion, and you can share with us what you think, is that we're not taking anything away. All we're doing is giving you more. Even the ad free is coming to more people, right?
Yep.
And if you're at the $10 tier, you now get even more stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
Exactly. So
yay.
So
happy we have that out in the open now.
Yeah, very exciting.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes, we've been planning this for a while.
A lot of thinking. And there is more stuff coming, so stay tuned. It's going to be an
indeed.
exciting couple of months leading up to I.O. and then after I.O., so stay tuned.
Sure.
So, all right,
All
cool.
right.
Why don't we get into the show now?
Let's do it.
Well, speaking of I/O, the Google has released the schedule, and of course, it's kind of its own little leaky peeky because we kind of can tell now what's going to be on board in terms of announcements for Google I/O. And so let's talk about it. So among the session list for I/O 2025, which y'all are going to, and I'm not, I'm very sad. There are some serious, some previously rumored, now perhaps confirmed things going on. Number one would be Material 3 Expressive, which is a new version of Material Design, will be officially announced. No details on what it is yet, but we have been spotting kind of aspects of Material Expressive kind of coming through, especially in the Android settings app. And I think one of like the new progress meters or something with like, if you see a circle with a little squiggly line kind of going around it, that's kind of like the general vibe of Material Expressive. No idea what it is, what impact it will have, what developers can do, and what users will receive, but we're going to hear about it at Google I/O. So Android 16 for TV is confirmed, and this supports earlier reports that Google will be skipping Android 15 entirely for its TV platform and moving to Android 16. So there you go. And of course, what Google I/O would it be in the modern era without some AI in it? And of course, we're going to be hearing about Gemini and specifically Gemini integration coming to Android Auto and Android Automotive, offering, quote, seamless navigation and personalized entertainment for in-car experiences. And some other notable things that will probably be covered is Android XR, extended reality, the new SDK, and we're looking to see a new SDK developer preview at I/O and a public launch, quote, later this year. Desktop windowing for Android with stylus support for multitasking, and maybe, something that will support those Android like books, laptops that we're like hearing rumors of. Updates to Google Pay and Wallet, and more Gemini for you. New Gemini Nano AI APIs for text summarization, proofreading, rewriting, and image descriptions to give you a little bit of that generative AI in your, for developers like me, in maybe your own apps. And Chrome's new built-in AI API, or new built-in AI APIs for translation and content generation. So that's all that we're gleaning from the sessions that are listed now on the schedule. Anything anyone's particularly excited about?
So is the general response I've received from this has been okay.
Yeah.
Are we just hard to please at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, have you seen anybody, like some of our friends, like I saw Will Saddleberg over at Android Police wrote the Android Police newsletter, and he was just like, meh, right? And like, I saw some other folks who were just like, yeah, and even our internal chat were just like, yeah, the I/O schedule's out, and it's nothing to, like, did I miss anybody who's really excited about this?
I mean, like in the past, the I/O schedule itself has never been like, oh, this is like a big hint of something amazing we never heard of is going to happen, right? It's always been, we've already kind of known, they're going to talk about the next version of Android, of course. They're going to talk about this platform. They're going to talk about this form factor. Like, we already know what to expect. It's exactly what they're announcing is the surprise. And actually, there is a surprising aspect of I/O, and it's the fact that, I/O is taking place, May 20th, May 21st? But we might not have to wait that long to get a whole lot of Android news because of something else that happened, which I think puts a little damper on the I/O announcement itself.
Yeah, so basically, if y'all have heard about the Android show, it's a production that they do like quarterly. I've been involved, but it's more or less kind of a developer-centric, online presentation where they talk about kind of like the latest developments for developers. And this year, basically, all of the Android news is going to be shifted away from like being premiered at Google I/O to being premiered at the Android show. And so I guess, so basically most of the major breaking Android news will be known of before Google I/O is basically the big part of it. And there's actually a couple interesting aspects to this. Like, I think I actually pasted this in like an Android developer chat that I'm in. And I think there's a bit of disappointment just generally. And this is not anything new, I think, as developers. It's called the Developer Conference, but if you talk to the more grumpy among us, which is kind of like a lot of us, it's been a long time since Google I/O has felt like a developer conference. And, especially like post-pandemic when they were where the ramp up has been really slow to get back to like pre-pandemic levels of information, networking activity. It's kind of felt like, well, we don't really feel like Google I/O is for us anymore. And so this year was kind of a big change. Like, I know a lot of people, a lot of devs that I know got invitations. They were actually really glad to be going, like for the first time or finally again after the pandemic. And so this kind of puts a little blunt on it, to be honest. We had a lot of internal chats about this because I think, whenever there's a big shift in something, we always kind of wonder, like, what does this mean? But, regardless,
how can you not,
yeah,
in this
but
case?
I think my thing is like, we haven't really felt like it's a developer conference for a long time. There's a lot of jokes last year about it being more Google AI than anything else. And I mean, just from an even practicality standpoint, like for us developers, we felt like for a long time, this event isn't really for us. And a lot of the, with the news being unveiled beforehand at the Android show, and honestly, actually one of my friends in chat said, and if you're actually in on the alphas, even less of a surprise, because a lot of stuff in the Android show is stuff that if you're paying attention, you will have picked up on anyway. So, and if you're in the community, it's again, like less of a surprise. So it just really feels like it's been less and less for us. And I guess my point is they're trying to get a lot of devs to come. And it's not, it's not nothing. You either have to get, you have to get permission, you have to get a ticket. Like a lot of times you're spending company budget, hopefully spending time away from your friends or your family rather, and making this big trip. And it feels like, well, what for? So
Well, let's think about that for a second, because Google I/O. So what is changing? We were talking about this a little bit in our Discord. What actually is changing here when you really kind of strip it back? The actual change is any of the Android news that would have hit the keynote is now hitting the Android show a week prior. So one of the only things that's seeming like as far as a straight up piece of news that's changing is there's no breaking Android news that we know of. Maybe there's going to be a little bit or whatever, but the majority of that's going to happen a week before. But the content of I/O as a developer conference where they have talks and sessions that they still have Android as part of those sessions. But I'm not saying that to invalidate your point. I think your point is very strong that over the years it has seemed like, at least from the Android perspective, things have kind of shifted with Google I/O away from it being as focused or as emphasized on Android. It was never 100% Android. It was always development across all of Google's platforms and everything. But this does feel like a symbolic change of, okay, so now Android means so little to Google that they don't even need to, quote, waste their time in the onstage keynote talking about it. They're going to put that into a podcast a week before. And that feels
I don't think that's really the case. I think what's really
I think that's perception. I think that's what perception is what I'm saying.
So I think what's really happening is that in the past, before pre-pandemic, pre-LLMs specifically, is that Google I/O was about sharing news and updates and developer APIs related to all Google products.
Right.
But now it's focused on AI and how is Google integrating AI into all of its products, including Android, including Chrome, including all of its products. So it's not going to be like the keynotes are not going to be about here's an update about Android, here's an update about Chrome. It's here's an update about how we're using AI in Android. Here's an update about how we're integrating AI in Chrome. Here's an AI about how we're integrating AI in all these other Google products. So the overarching theme is AI. And I'm pretty sure this I/O that's not going to be different. In fact, they're going to probably lean even more into AI this year.
Yeah.
And Android is still going to be there, but it's not going to be like its own thing.
It's not the star.
It never was the star technically in the past,
No.
but it did get a big segment.
And for better or for worse, Gwen, going back to your whole thing about it not being for developers anymore, what started off as a developer conference has become the keynote has become Google's stage for the world to, all eyes to be on Google for their statement as to what the mission is for the company and what the direction they're taking it in. And ideally, it's that morning of the keynote when we're all in that Shoreline Amphitheater, listening to the 2-hour presentation. And I'm sure Google would counter when saying, right, that morning part isn't really quote unquote for developers. It's all of this, the next day and a half of sessions, an opportunity to get face-to-face time and do all stuff that really is, right? And I don't know, from your perspective, if that time is worthwhile or not. I can't speak to that, but we tend to overweigh the keynote and the morning announcements and not see and I'm being devil's advocate here and speaking, and kind of represent Google, which, I'm not, totally, they don't need me to defend them, but I'm just saying it's a 2-day event where they're providing resources and people to be there in person to talk to people if they want to make the trip. So it kind of becomes what you want to make of it, right?
Yeah.
So
no, and that's really fair. And I think that I think it's a disaster? No. And just to make a point that they will have like Googlers on site to answer questions and do some of the office hours that we're used to. And they do have technical sessions. I think there's like a broader thing that's a little inside baseball, but that, I think, the way I always, so there's a lot of things going on. And I think that this is a little, like, again, inside baseball, but Google has been investing a lot less in developer relations in the last several years. And, I have a very strong feelings about access and the ability for people to come to events like this. And it used to be that back in the day, like the peak of the Android community, you would see Googlers at not just I/O, but at local conferences. You'd see them in local conferences here in the US, in Asia, in Latin America, and all these different places. And that was the access that I think we were very proud of and that was very valuable to us. In the last few years, they've stopped doing that. Like a lot of times it is very hard now for Googlers on the Android team to come to local conferences. We just don't see them anymore. And And so a lot of it was like, well, Google I/O is kind of like the biggest thing. It's literally where Google is in Mountain View. It's probably our best chance to get that access to, the developers. And it's not an easy lift for everybody to go there. And so that's a little disappointing, right? Is that they're pulling back from like the level of community engagement they had before. And it's not saying again that they're leaving us in the dust, because again, reiterating, they are going to be there. There are going to be Googlers there. But it does feel like a little bit of kind of pulling back resources on what I think a lot of us really enjoyed about the community. And I mean, this is a very small nitpick. Might be unfair of me, but if you look at the Android show, for example, previously they had always focused on like the first year they had Carrie from Mythbusters hosting it, and everyone was like, she's great, but why is she here? And so they'd focused on like having a GDE and a Googler, like an Android team representative, do the Android show because they wanted to appeal to people. And not that Samir isn't freaking awesome and a friend of the show, but again, like having it be mostly about, the people that we normally see, like, Rick Osterloh and Samir, they're like the executive, they're like the kind of like executive face of Android. And it just, again, feels like we're seeing less of the DevRels, seeing less of the people that work in the trenches. And sorry, I know we're going long, but there's nothing terrible about this, but it just feels like it's just again, they're shoring things up, building their nice strong vertical, and there feels like there's something lost there.
No matter what you are saying, Win, is valid in this, particularly in the sense that you are connected to a lot of the developer community directly, and they all have a similar feeling to what you're describing.
Yeah,
and so what perception is reality, right? Regardless of anything else, they're feeling like it's de-emphasized. They're feeling like maybe this conference isn't as easily justifiable for me in my position to make the case to go out there. And whether that's true or not, whether Google's defense is, but we're still offering the same things. We're still doing this. We're still doing that. That's still the perception. And Google has to battle that. And Google has to battle a lot of wars right now in the realm of perception in that business.
It's also, that's one angle of the perception. The other angle of the perception is the AI fatigue. And it's, we talked a couple of weeks ago about the Wired article, which is looking back at the last, year and a half or 2 years of Google's pivot into AI. And we know that, more than likely after, seeing the schedule and seeing all the stuff, and Michelle, you're saying it's like AI into Chrome and AI into where it used to be, Google I/O is like, hey, here's the new phone and this is what you can do with it and all this sort of stuff. The paradigm of what's being discussed, Android, the devices and Android itself has become the delivery mechanism for what is the new thing that Google has prioritized. And it is very easy for someone like yourself or developer who lives and breathes Kotlin and Android development, Android Developer Studio, to feel like a cog in that wheel and to feel disenfranchised.
I really appreciate you putting it that way, Ron. Yeah. And yes, I mean, in the end, does this affect my day-to-day job? Yeah. Not really, but it affects, how I feel as part of a community. And it's that more touchy-feely kind of intangible part that I've always loved about Android. Thank you for putting it that way.
And you also, you depending on how you look at it, you have the benefit of working for a company that has resources, versus independent developers that have to make really strong and wise choices, and how this speaks to them versus the big players in the room.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up too. It's an access thing again. Partners, big partners have access.
Well, just to temper things a little bit,
Please,
is worth
Michelle,
noting
I'm worked up.
The Android show hasn't taken place yet, so we don't know what
True. That's a very good point. We're putting the cart before the horse.
We don't want to complain too hard about things that haven't happened yet.
No, it's just more like, don't want to complain, just more like, what's happening? Just talk to us. Let us know.
Right now, it's very easy to be like, because it's kind of anticlimactic. Be like, well, there's not going to be a big Android thing at I/O, but who knows what the Android show is going to say, and we're going to cover it, and we'll see what comes of it, and maybe it's going to be something cool and exciting that's going to influence the conversation at I/O, and it's a what is it? It's I'm not Pandora's box, Schrodinger's cat. I don't know what it is. It's one of those psychological things,
It's
right?
box. It's a cat.
The unknown.
Who the
Yeah,
heck
yeah.
knows?
So we'll see. We'll find out.
Oh boy, we got a lot more to talk about.
Very quickly, what we can find out, and it's been a while, but I do love it. I do love distribution numbers. I can't believe it's been 11 months since we've had any solid communication from Google about distribution numbers. But here we are, 11 months ago, Google shared what distribution numbers look like. But on April 1st, they shared that Android 15 is currently on 4.5% of devices. It's important to note that this reflects Android 15's distribution to AOSP last September, along with Pixel, OnePlus, and Nothing devices. Samsung had not yet deployed One UI 7. As we all know, Samsung has been fumbling that through the month of April. So these distribution numbers do not reflect Android 15 being on Samsung devices. So presumably this number will jump as Samsung devices catch up to Android 15, which is probably why Android 14 is currently still king and reigning champion with 27.4% of devices running it. And then as you go through the list, Android 4.4, also known affectionately as KitKat, and Android 5.0 running Lollipop are holding their own with 0.1% of the distribution. So they're hanging in there. And then you can see the other numbers as we go through. Our beloved Oreo is holding in with about 4.4% of the distribution total. I love these numbers so much. So we'll see.
The list just gets bigger and bigger, and the numbers get more and more diluted. It's just,
even so, just given how many Android devices are out there, these small percentages are still potentially millions, tens of millions.
So many.
Users.
And as we've discussed every time we talk about it, the Kit Kat and Lollipop and Marshmallow and Nougats of the world are likely airport kiosks and really weird devices running some flavor of AOSP or really customized tablet kiosk kind of devices that are out there that presumably will be out there for years, and the question will be at what point do they get decommissioned. But they're holding on. They're really holding on.
They're like the Windows XP.
Yeah, exactly. So so that's our distribution update for this year. We look forward to next year when Google gives us an update. And important to note that Android 16 probably is going to hit Pixel devices this summer. So maybe we'll see distribution a little sooner than 11 months from now. Hopefully, Google, please. So
that's right, Ron. Like Android 15 it's not even on 5% of devices, and Android 16 is about to be released. And as usual, like us, those of us in the media, we're always talking about what's coming ahead, even though barely anyone's going to even have access to these features. Yep. But it's still nice to talk about things that are coming in the future because some of them are really exciting, such as this new bubble bar multitasking enhancement that I spotted in the latest Android 16 beta. So right now, if you want to multitask on your Android phone, or especially your Pixel phone, you have basically two options. You have the bubble feature if you're using a chat app that supports it, or you have the split screen mode, which lets you have two apps in split screen side by side. But this new bubble anything feature that I discovered a few months ago allows you to put any application into a bubble. And if you combine that with this bubble bar feature, which puts the all of your bubbles into this little panel on the bottom right corner, then you can switch between your bubbles and open, say, Chrome in one bubble, close it, hide it, open Google Keep in another bubble, hide it, open Calendar in another bubble, hide it. So if you're watching the video, I have this little screen recording that I made just showing off the bubble bar feature and the bubble anything feature. Like I have multiple apps open in floating bubbles, switching between them. And I think this is a really neat approach to multitasking because, phones don't have large enough screens to be able to comfortably fit more than two apps at a time. But this approach allows you to have as many bubbles as you want, and then you just close and hide and unhide them as you want and switch between them. You can copy, paste text, or do whatever you want. I think it's a really neat approach to multitasking, and maybe Google will roll it out. Maybe they won't. I don't know.
Interesting. This is just making me think of Chris Lacey and like the legacy that he set forth upon Android when he did Link Bubble. Link Bubble was the first. One of the first, maybe not
one of the first,
but
like custom bubble implementations, yeah.
And that was definitely ahead of Google's implementation of bubble interface. So yeah, I wonder if he's kind of like he sees these updates and he's like, yeah, I helped do that.
So another feature that I spotted in the latest beta is something that is new to Pixels, but is very old on other devices, and it's the ability to turn off your screen by double tapping it on the lock screen. So if you have a OnePlus device, a Samsung device, a Xiaomi device, you're like, what's the big deal? I've been able to do this for years. Well, on Pixel phones, you can double tap the screen to turn it on, but you can't double tap to turn it off. But Google is finally working on adding that feature. And that's pretty much all there's to say about it. There is one disappointing aspect of it, is that while you can double tap to turn it off from the lock screen, they haven't added the ability to double tap to turn it off from the home screen yet. And that's a little disappointing because a lot of other operating systems like HyperOS allow you to do that.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
And the
feature.
last
Yeah.
long-awaited feature is an improvement to the photo picker, and it's the search bar. So right now, if you open the photo picker in an application, there's no way for you to search through your media gallery. You have to go to the album tab or just scroll through your list of photos and manually find what you want to do. Well, the search bar will let you search for the thing that you want to insert. That's pretty much it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Google announced this last year at last year's I/O that they're going to implement this. They said it was going to roll out sometime in 2024. We're almost halfway through 2025, and it's finally being tested. In the wild, at least.
Sometimes good things take time. I guess. Can't hear you, Ron.
I say always good things take time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Indeed. All right. And I just appreciated hearing you say bubble bar as many times as you did.
Really, bubble bar. That's where I was just dialed into
bar.
bubble bar. Yeah.
Bubble bar. Bubble bar. It's kind of a hard couple of words to say. Google has shared that its Find My Device network is now 4 times faster at locating items than it was when it launched. They are saying, we've done a lot of algorithm and software tweaks. There's more efficient Bluetooth scanning happening now, so these devices are found a lot faster. Also, they shared that more users are actually opting into the wider sharing privacy setting, which is an opt-in thing. When you first get these devices, I think by default it is controlled to only be tracked in high traffic areas, and then you have to go into the settings and open it up so that it's just trackable all the time, and that's where you really get the benefits of the network. Google says many users are opting into that. I don't know what the actual number is there, but that's good if you want the network to actually improve. And then finally, Google is teasing ultra wideband support, saying it is coming very soon. Which, who knows? Maybe that's a possible hint that we might see something more, more announcements along these lines at Google I/O here in a few weeks. Moto Tag, I believe, is one of the only ones right now with ultra wideband hardware currently, but I imagine that will open up very soon. So there you go.
Cool.
Good stuff for tracking devices.
Track those devices.
Track them.
A lot of news this week.
So much.
It happens.
It happens. But we have more. And in fact, it is time for our patron pick of the week. So every Monday, we put up 3 stories for our patrons to vote on. And as you may have remembered from the beginning of the show, from now on, patrons can now submit stories as well for us to consider. But we still vote on it, and we still only talk about one story, but only during the main show. During the main show. So let's take a look at what we've got. And also, we also like to ask for hero images for our patron pick. And Ron, I appreciate your honesty in this post here, because someone was really smart and knows that Ron is a pinball guy and generated an absolutely wonderful image of an android playing pinball. And in fact, not just that, but there's an Android news pinball game out there somewhere in the universe, in the multiverse somewhere.
Yeah, so Kyle from Tampa really, really, really pandered to me really nicely with this Android news pinball machine. And it's a little bug droid standing next to it, and then a disturbing AI-generated crowd of normal people, which we haven't seen a lot of bug droid with humans interaction in the bug droid images that people sent in. So this is really this is entering new territory, which is kind of uncanny valley for me.
Yeah,
but,
it's a little weird.
Also, a little uncanny valley is that AI generated images know what pinball is, but if you look very closely at the playfield, which is what the main area of the pinball
Yeah.
machine is, it just makes no sense.
It's
Yeah,
a very
little-
empty play field.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
the wire forms and stuff like that, like it's almost as if like if you looked at a pinball machine quickly and looked away, you're like, yeah, it's a pinball machine. But if you look closely at it, you're like,
Yeah.
oh no, that's not right. So, but it's fantastic. So
You
bravo,
definitely
Kyle.
don't want to go
That's
up
not
this
how those
ramp.
things work.
Yeah,
It'll
exactly.
spit
Yeah.
right back down.
I will say that at least the Android News like game name is perfectly legible
Yeah.
on the pinball machine.
I'd play that game.
Yeah.
Even if it was really boring and didn't actually work, I'd play it.
Yeah. Right on. So good stuff. So send your bug droid images in, contact at androidfaithful.com. We're going to figure out how to share these beyond Patreon also more, because I feel like people can only see them on Patreon. We talk about it on the show. Audio listeners not maybe will see them. So we're going to try to share them a little more publicly. But yeah, it's awesome stuff. Keep sending them in those bug droid images. But let's get to the patron pick.
All right, the patron pick. So so there's 3 picks. We're going to talk about one during the show now, and the other 2 in after hours. So the first after hour story we'll be talking about later, as in the one that got the least votes, is Google TV sucks. Indian brand Lumio is aiming to change that. So we'll talk about that later during after hours. The second thing we'll be able to talk about during after hours is that the big yearly Android upgrade doesn't matter all that much now. Spicy take, hot take. I like it. Spicy. And we'll dive into the spice later. But what we're going to be talking about right now is Android Auto makes my road trips easier unless I'm a passenger. So this isn't exactly news, but this is a little opinion piece, but also kind of like testimonial, like experiential write-up by Andy Walker over at Android Authority. And basically the idea is that Andy's talking about how much he really does love Android Auto and how much it is to help him with his driving, and, has all of his apps and audio on the go. But that for his partner, who often sits beside him in the passenger seat while driving, it's a less fun experience. And I think a lot of us who do use Android Auto regularly with our life partners or just otherwise, carpooling partners, can share Andy's, thoughts on his experience, because as a partner driver, there's not a lot you can do with Android Auto other than what's available through, like the screen. Basically the Android Auto is tied to we'll call it the main driver's phone, right? So for Andy, the Android Auto, the apps that appear, the data, everything is based on his phone. So when his partner's in the car, it makes it a little bit difficult, right? Because, she cannot, have her own apps, can't have her own content very easily because it's all linked to his phone. And then also because, of course, Android Auto wants us to be safe and be non-distracted drivers, there's very limited interaction that can actually happen for, a non-driving, fully, able to interact with Android Auto person sitting in the passenger seat. So it's a little bit limited there. And so Andy kind of, thought about 2 suggestions or 2 ways that this could be made a little bit easier and to make the Android Auto, experience less hampered for the person sitting with you. And that is to maybe, number 1, allow a passenger phone to control Android Auto, even if it's running technically off of the driver's phone, or implementing multi-user support that would let 2 phones connect simultaneously. And I think this makes a lot of sense because, for a lot of us, carpooling is a thing. You have a family, you have a partner, and, a car, you don't always have your own car with your own Android Auto. It often is a shared experience. So I think this makes a lot of sense that, it is not that, flexible as other devices might be. Andy does note, though, that this is a problem specifically of Android Auto. Android Automotive, which is the full, Google-made OS for cars that is built in, is developing a feature called concurrent multi-user to address this issue, to make it a little more friendly towards, multi-passenger, access to content and apps. But what does that mean for Android Auto? We don't know. Another question of like, well, Google's got a couple different things that do the same thing and do things with different capabilities. So, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I really vibed with what Andy was talking about here, as often the passenger in an Android Auto, that it's a little bit limited. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
I just think it would just because Android Auto is projected from your phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus Android Automotive, which is built in the OS into the head unit. 2 completely different ways of running car apps. So just because Android Auto is built in from your phone, it's protected from your phone, it makes it a little more difficult to have that kind of multi-user capabilities, considering all the data is on a separate person's phone, right? So like, how would you commingle that kind of information on the same head unit? Like, it would have to be two separate instances of Android Auto, pretty much.
I mean, it's akin to Chromecasting, right? Like when you're sitting
I
in
think
a
a
living
casting approach would work. Yeah.
If you're sitting in a living room and you're Chromecasting to the TV and your friend is there with their phone, they have to take over the casting to the TV to be in control. It's a control situation.
Although it would be a little complicated because, like in the Chromecast situation, you're fine if someone else casts the video and it stops the video and starts playing over. But in a car, if the main driver has like navigation active and then someone else starts casting something else, right? You don't want active navigation to be overridden.
Yeah, I have to imagine that would be a serious consideration. Is like anything driver critical stays with the driver, and but then you're crossing the streams, and in ways that maybe it's not designed to do. And
another good point of the frustration I have with Android Auto. So I don't have Android Automotive, like I don't have the head unit. I have a Subaru and I have AA wireless, and I'm using Android Auto with my phone, and I'm also driving, right? And so and my wife doesn't use Android, right? So I can't hand her my phone and say, go search for the song the kid wants to hear. I've got to do it while I'm driving. And so it would be great if you had a delegate mode, or if there was a guest mode or some sort of thing where you were able to, if there was a, like almost like the Google TV user profile switcher, where you're still able to have the core user mode be there and the driving, not, like the Google Maps navigation thing not get in the way, but allow a guest to come in and be able to control the media or do whatever that they might want to do, maybe through a split screen or something like that. But even then, real estate is limited because it's this tiny little screen. And so,
Yeah, I mean, I think basically the way that concurrent multi-user works for Android Automotive, which doesn't help us Subaru folks with Android Auto, is that, there's a focus on the driver having access to their navigation and alert apps, and while the kind of secondary user or the passenger user it's more about apps and media. So it does separate the two. But again, that's a solution from Android Automotive, not for us that only had Android Auto.
And you would need to buy an entirely new car to get Android Automotive.
Yeah.
So it's not a great solution. And I don't know, with the way that they're going, unfortunately, I don't know if there's a good solution that isn't not dangerous or isn't very like a complex user interaction. So but definitely something that I've ran into.
Interesting.
Right. Well, that is our patron pick, and we want to thank right now one of our patrons, Manuel Pomelis, for supporting us. Thank you again, Kyle, for sending in that absolutely delightful and pandering to Ron in the most delightful of ways, Bug Droid. And if you want to support us as well, especially with all the new like benefits and like side perks and loveliness that we just announced at the beginning of the show, patreon.com/AndroidFaithful.
Go do it. Be there or be square or be not there. It's your choice. All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, I've got some hardware that I'm going to go ahead and unbox, and I'll just show it to you real quick. Okay, that's all you get to see. Okay, yes, it was a CMF phone too. That's coming up. But first, we do want to thank the sponsor of this episode. We are so grateful to have Square on board with Square Mobile Payments SDK. You've definitely heard of Square. For sure you have. I'm pretty sure you've used their technology at some point. Whether you're paying for coffee at your local coffee shop, maybe you're buying a burger at Shake Shack or a shake at Shake Shack. They don't discriminate. Square is the cloud-based point of sale system that's been used by everyone from small businesses to enterprise level to enable flexible implementation of tools to fit each business, and is the market leader here in the US for point of sale systems, processing more than $200 billion annually. Square has some exciting news. They've recently launched their free mobile payments SDK for developers. And what exactly does that mean? Well, now it's easier than ever to tap into Square's established platform and implement it into your mobile applications. The new Square Mobile Payments SDK is available to developers in the US, Canada, and Australia and allows for easy embedding and advanced customization to help you build a streamlined and reliable payment experience for your users. If you want to implement Tap to Pay on Android or do your development in Kotlin or Flutter or React Native, well, Square's got you covered. As the SDK is not exclusive, it works well with over 650 third-party applications and joins Square's extensive library of APIs, along with a robust sandbox for development testing and quality assurance, so you can make sure your new payments features are the best that they can be for your users. It also includes a free CRM that centralizes data from multiple sources, including third-party, that automatically updates with new data and cleans up duplication or fragments. And developers, we know you're out there. Don't miss out on the leading payments provider in the business. Check out Square's Mobile Payments SDK, and you can actually get all the information that you need at bit.ly/AndroidFaithful. That's bit.ly/Android Faithful. You're looking at it right now. We thank Square for supporting Android Faithful and for providing the mobile payments SDK for making developers' lives just a little bit easier. It's awesome. One more time, that's bit.ly/Android Faithful for more information about Square's mobile payments SDK. You don't want to miss it. So go there, bit.ly/Android Faithful, and we thank Square for their support of Android Faithful. All right. With that, it is time to go hands-on with some hardware because I don't know if y'all heard that yesterday, I think it was yesterday. I can't even get my days straight. There's so much happening.
It was yesterday. It was indeed yesterday.
Thank you.
Yes,
yesterday was a day for me. I have in my hot little hands, let's see if, it's not even passing through anymore. What happened there?
It was very exciting yesterday from our friends over at Nothing. Because at least for me, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but the hotly anticipated CMF Phone 2 Pro, along with the CMF Buds, were unveiled, right? And Jason was lucky enough to get his hot little hands on them.
Thank you for vamping there because for whatever reason HDMI went kaput on me. So I've had I got the CMF Phone 2 Pro. I haven't even removed it from the box, as you can see. It's just kind of been one of those weeks. So I thought, why don't we take a look at it at the same time? Which I'm excited about because, nothing does great, work in the realm of hardware and design. But B, the CMF phone last year was really interesting, and yet I didn't get a chance to really see it in person firsthand. And now I have the sequel, and you can see this device is not expensive. What is it? It's not released here in the US, but 249 euros for the 128 gig version. 256 gig version, 279 euros.
So that's $283 in the US.
I think they do sell it as in the beta program, quote unquote, in the US for $279.
Right,
so
right.
You can get it in the US if you want, but you can't go into a store or anything.
So that is a higher price than the first one. The first one was sub $200.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit more expensive. And I know, did you get the original one, Ron? I feel like someone...
I did get the original one.
I also have it.
Yep.
Yeah, you have it. And I know that it was impressive in person. I don't know that I ever saw it in person, but this thing, you can't pick it up on the camera, but it's got this really nice in person, this frosted glass kind of quality. Actually, I don't know if that is glass, but I'm pretty sure it is. Be surprised if it isn't. Anyways, very machined look with the cameras on the back. Really stands out. 6.77 inch FHD plus AMOLED display. Does have a 120 hertz refresh, 3000 nits peak brightness, protected with Panda Glass. It's IP54 rated. You've got your NFC in here if you want to do mobile payments. This is a lower to mid-range device, so you've got a MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Pro in here with 8 gigs of RAM. So it's not, the highest processor, highest capability processor and RAM driving it. But again, you have to kind of read the room as far as the price category and really compare it against others in that category. 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 33 watt wired charging. It is capable of doing reverse charging, so that's a nice kind of bonus feature here with the CMF Phone 2 Pro. And then you have a couple of rear cameras. You've got a 50 megapixel f to 1.88 aperture, a 50 megapixel 2x optical telephoto, f 1.85, and then an 8 megapixel ultra wide with 120 degrees field of view. So I guess you got 3 of those lenses. I love the look of that. That's really nice.
I like the CMF program. I like how they kept some of the visual language of the phone, but differentiated it enough from the first one. That little round thing, which I want to be a functional dial, but it's not.
I know. I want it to be a functional dial too. Well, I'll show you something here in a sec that does make it a functional dial. That's
okay. Let's see.
Front camera, 16 megapixel on the front. Obviously, I have not set the phone up yet because I literally just powered it on. But one of the big things here, and I don't believe I have in the box any of these to show off. No, it's just the power cable, is the modularity of this device. So you've got some modular accessories that you can attach to this device, and I'm going to have to research exactly how that happens. But there's a fisheye and a macro lens attachment, a universal case, a kickstand attachment, a wallet attachment, a lanyard. How did that work on, like, was that a part of the original CMF?
Yeah.
And where did that plug into? Was it this thing?
Into the nubbin, into the thing I wanted to be a dial.
Into the widow nubbin.
Ron, did you actually get a lanyard? Because I never could find them.
I never did. Yeah, I never did.
Okay,
I never
I
got
feel
any
like-
attachments. Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw them available in the store.
Yeah.
So do you pop this off? Is that how you normally do it, or am I going to break the phone?
Well, usually it's
break
like a
your phone,
screw.
Jason.
It's got like a threaded side, so that's new.
Oh, maybe. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Oh, there you go. Oh, nice.
So it does rotate, Ron. It's just it rotates and comes clean off.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so you just spin that off. Interesting stuff. I love it. I love that there are options in this price range that look this eye-catching. I mean, this thing in person looks really pretty. The way this like shimmers in the light. And then I mentioned the CMF, briefly, the CMF Buds 2 Plus, which is one of 3 headphones that Nothing released in the CMF Buds category. They happen to send me the Buds 2 Plus. So these are $69 true wireless earbuds. Case design, like I have last year's, and very similar. Although if you had last year's, you know that this like rotating dial has like a little notched quality to it that kind of clicks. It's really satisfying. It's like a really nice kind of fidget. This doesn't have that. This is just a plain wheel, but it has a kind of like indentation that's very pretty. Anyways, I was listening to some music while I was at the dog park earlier today. Has 50 dB ANC with transparency mode, also a smart adaptive mode, so it can read your surroundings with the 6 HD mics that are on board, and then be able to ramp the ANC around that. High res LDAC, so it can support some high-res audio formats as a result. It has really nice bass response. I was playing around with the Nothing X app, and it has all of these settings around shaping the sound, and I just boosted the bass and threw on some bass-heavy music, and I was really impressed. For $69, it sounded really great. Also low latency, 105 to 120 millisecond latency, so this would be good wireless earbuds to wear when you're like playing games, playing your Genshin Impact or whatever. And then 15 and a half hours battery life without ANC for the buds. That's a long battery life. Total with case, 61 and a half hours. And both of these on sale and ready May 6th. There you go. Boom. What do you think?
I've always felt that Nothing's phones and all their devices, in fact, they really punch above their weight in terms of design. Like some of the
100%.
designs are polarizing. Like you immediately hate it, or you really love it, or you like it. Like I think there's like a clear divide. But you can't deny that they definitely stand out, right? They look really unique. They definitely make the phones look much more expensive than they actually are. And I think that's a really cool thing about that.
And Michelle,
They
I
lean
totally
into
agree
it.
with you. And I think the video that they provided when the last phone came out, where they showed the design studio and the thought they're putting into it and all this sort of stuff. And again, you might hate what they're doing, but you can't deny that they're working to make their phones look different in the marketplace that is filled with sameness.
Yep.
And there's no way that you go out with a nothing phone and someone doesn't go, "Hey, what is that?" Right? Like, it definitely stands out. Again, it might not be your aesthetic. I think they're great, and I love that nothing is out there and doing this in the world.
Yeah. It's interesting because the CMF phone, you can notice like with the Nothing 3A, they really leaned into like, and it's that design aesthetic that we talked about that is polarizing for some people, that it really puts the rivets forward. It feels like in your face, like, hey, this is like, this particular technology. And with the CMF, like the previous CMF one phone, the two camera units were like kind of sunk in together, kind of like very camera bump style in the corner. But you can definitely see that change in like in your face. Like each unit has its own, little metal casing, like, well, all three of them. And then there's a cohesion between both CMF and Nothing that's really cool, and it is a little jarring, but it's unique.
Super unique.
It's got personality.
It's got personality. And I will say that
Unmistakably.
of any kind of app that connects to hardware, which is a hard problem to begin with developing apps, Nothing probably does some of the best work with a hardware companion app. And that's like
Totally agree.
not
Yeah,
a compliment I
completely
give lightly, because a lot of times, granted,
Bluetooth is awful.
Yeah, because it's a difficult problem. Hooking up to hardware is hard, but Nothing has done a great job with their software. It's stylish and it works, and they have great widgets. So
Yeah, and Jason, the widgets. But Jason, I love the call out you have to the Nothing X app and the control over the audio stuff. I mean, I'm still using my ear stick, although I'm ready to throw them out the window because they're not. I use them for running, and they're slowly dying because getting sweat in them and all
Ear
that stuff.
A right here.
Yeah, but
Wearing them here.
but yeah, the control you have over their audio stuff, they do a great job of that. And so if you're looking for a low priced one, give them a shot. Very cool.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I'm excited to spend some time with the CMF Phone 2 and a 2 Pro rather, and then I'm definitely already kind of in the midst of spending my time with the Buds 2 Plus. So I'll have more kind of rounded thoughts probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm not in a rush to be first with the embargo, obviously. Otherwise, my review would have gone up yesterday. But
yeah, I mean.
But I'm cool to take the slow and steady approach on these phones.
I'd rather you take a slow and steady, thoughtful approach. I mean, like at the end of the day, like we know it's out there. What's the point of being first, right? Be
totally.
thoughtful with it. So
Totally.
All right, so we got a little back-to-back OnePlus news. First, we got a very important email from them yesterday notifying us that it's about a pricing update from our friends over at OnePlus USA. I don't know if you've been following things. There's been a lot of turmoil in the markets and the news. There's been some stuff going on coming out of Washington that affects imports, exports. I'm not really following it very closely. Anyway, but OnePlus did share, and I'm just going to share their statement directly in case you hadn't saw it. On April 10th, the price of the OnePlus Watch 3 was increased to $499.99 in the U.S. due to the current market conditions. After a further evaluation, we're pleased to share that recent adjustments to our supply chain have allowed us to pass some savings back to those who are interested in purchasing the OnePlus Watch 3 in the U.S. As a result, the OnePlus Watch 3 in the U.S. is now available with its new price of $349.99. This is the final MSRP price and will not be changed going forward. For those who did purchase a OnePlus Watch 3 at $499.99 in the US, OnePlus will refund them the difference to their original payment method and will be contacted directly by the OnePlus customer support team. This change reflects our effort to be transparent, responsive, and committed, bringing the OnePlus Watch 3 to the US at a competitive price point despite the ongoing market conditions. We appreciate all of our OnePlus users and the OnePlus community for their continued support and understanding. So, a tough hand being dealt OnePlus, being a China-based company, a Chinese-based company, all the crap that's going on in the world. I'm glad they're able to do this, and they're going to commit to the lower price point to stay competitive. I don't even want to know what's going on behind the scenes to make it happen, but not only are they going to maintain the lower price, but anybody who bought it at the higher price, they're going to refund their money. My hats off to them. Bravo. Solid.
Yeah. That's how you play that. I mean,
And
the watch was and still is, like, I'm still wearing it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite devices this year. Of course, Michelle, you've got it on your wrist as well. Like, there is so much going for this watch. And yet, when it hit $500, it suddenly became very hard for me to recommend it. At $349, I can recommend it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is $20 more expensive than it was originally planned to launch, but it's way better than the temporary price hike that they had to implement.
Yep, agreed. And the fact that they're giving refunds on that portion of time, that small amount of time that people were doing it. So I think they approached this correctly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good job.
So yeah, that's some good news from OnePlus, and now we have some bad news from OnePlus.
No.
But first, some context. So OnePlus finally unveiled the OnePlus 13T in China a couple of days ago. So this is the return of the OnePlus T series after a 3-year break. And this device kind of focused on ergonomics and delivering a premium compact flagship experience. So it has a 6.32-inch LTPO AMOLED display with a full HD resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate, Snapdragon 8 Elite, up to 16 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage, 50 megapixel main camera and 50 megapixel 2x telephoto camera. And the coolest thing about it is, despite it being relatively compact, with a 6.3-inch display, it's just over 150 millimeters tall and under 72 millimeter wide, it has a massive 6,260 milliamp hour silicon carbon battery.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a huge battery for what's relatively a compact device by today's standards, today's ultra large premium flagship standards.
Is this the first OnePlus phone to do the silicon carbon?
No. The OnePlus 13 also has silicon carbon.
Was it silicon carbon as well?
That is a 6,000 milliamp hour battery.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a very impressive device, and it ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. But unfortunately, it's not going to be launching in the US or Europe. The company confirmed this news to The Verge earlier today. However, if you live in India, it might be launching in the country just under a different name. OnePlus India teased the upcoming launch of a device called the 13S, and from the render they shared, it looks suspiciously similar to the 13T. So it might just be getting rebranded and launched in that country as a 13S. So yeah, this is a little disappointing news, especially after, we already are missing out on the OnePlus Open 2, but now we're missing out on the 13T as well. So 2 of their flagship devices we're not going to be getting in the US or even Europe.
Yeah, and Daniel in the chat room said about 1-. This feels like it doesn't feel like 1+ anymore, because we talked about the 13T a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, this phone seems too good to be true, and apparently it is.
Yeah. Maybe what this means is that the OnePlus Watch 3 was the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we don't want that much bad news. Let's just drop the price. I don't know. I doubt it's that simple, but it seems that way.
Oh man,
that's
what a
too
bummer.
Bad. That's too bad.
Bummer town. I mean, good. It's like there's an episode of Seinfeld when George was up, Elaine was down, and Elaine was up, George was down, right?
Yeah.
This is OnePlus Watch is up, OnePlus 13 down. We just can't.
You know what's up though, Ron?
What's up?
Motorola.
Moto.
It
up.
is. Yeah. It is.
Moto up.
Moto up. Because Motorola has announced their Razr 2025 lineup, and there's some cool stuff in there. I think the most notable thing is the addition of the Razr Ultra, which we are reported on some possible hints of having a wood back some weeks ago. Well, guess what? It does have it. And the Razr Ultra now makes for a super premium model of the successful Razr clamshell style foldables. Are we calling them flippables, Bill? The flippables.
Flippable.
You call them whatever you want.
Whatever you want. So there are 3 models in this
dinner.
series. There's 3 models in this series. So like last year, we had the Razr and the Razr Plus, the Razr being the more mid-rangey at around $700. The Razr Plus being your upper mid-range, lower premium, whatever we're calling them these days model. And then the Razr Ultra, Razr Ultra on top of that being a supremely premium $1,300 model. So I think the most interesting ones for me are the Razr, the base Razr, as well as the Razr Ultra. So, and the Razr Plus is kind of like a little interesting oddball. But basically across the board, everything has been improved, sort of. The Motorola Razr, the base model, especially if you're looking for a nice mid-range flippable, is really nice. It's gotten definitely, as the Android police have said, a glow up. It's got a ton of new colors, a more powerful processor. It gets a durability bump with all of its siblings being IP48. Let's see what else we got. But inside MediaTek Dimensity 7400, X, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and for cameras, it's got a 50 megapixel main, 13 megapixel ultra wide, and a 32 megapixel front camera. It's got a very decent 4,500 milliamp battery, 30 watt wired, and 15 watt wired charging. And as I said, it's IP48. It actually, I think, it's a from comparing specs, it's actually a very decent upgrade from last year's Moto Razr. And again, all sorts of lovely colorways. If you're on the video stream, you can see this lovely green. And is this one the Gibraltar Sea? That, you never really can tell what colors are based on the actual, like fancy ass color name, excuse me. But pastel green, navy blue, pink and white, whatever.
This is the dark greenish one that
Yeah.
I think I've seen some people be very excited about. Although it looks very plain in pictures, but
And maybe it's
not
like
in
something new. The Razr Plus, which is, last year's more higher end model, now just the middle child, is interesting because it hasn't actually changed that much. Like pretty much all of the specs are the same. Snapdragon S Gen 3, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. It is weird because it has, in terms of cameras, the same 50 megapixel main camera and the same-ish 32 megapixel front camera, but it's the odd child out of the three because it has a 50 megapixel telephoto lens, which apparently was a bit controversial last year. I know, Jason, you like a telephoto lens, so maybe this is the one for you. It's also odd in that its battery is actually, and if I'm reading the specs right, its battery is 4,000 milliamps, which is smaller than either of its siblings, either its younger sibling and older sibling. So there you go. 45 watt wired, 15 watt wireless charging. It is also IP48. And again, it's $1,000 and it comes in, oh, here we go. I got the colors now. It comes in mocha mousse, midnight blue, and hot pink.
Pink.
The base one had spring bud. I assume, is that a pink? I don't know. Who knows? Gibraltar Sea, parfait pink, and lightest sky. No idea what spring bud is. I would assume that was a pink, but maybe not. Who knows? And then finally, the brand new, the ultimate, the Razr Ultra, which is the premium flippable phone from this Razr. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Elite, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes or 1 terabyte of storage. It has 50 megapixel cameras across its 3 units, main, secondary, and front. It does have an ultra-wide secondary camera, just like the base Razr, and it doesn't. So the Razr Plus is the one with that, kind of like oddball telephoto lens. Its battery is a bit bigger with 4,700 milliamps, so it's the biggest of the three. 68 watt wired, 15 watt wired charging, wireless charging. Sorry, 68 watt wired, 15 watt wireless, and again also IP48. And its colors are, ready for this, Rio Red, Scarab, which must have been that kind of sexy, subtle green one that Jason was showing us. Mountain Trail, brown. Orange,
that might
brown?
be the wood one, maybe.
The wood one? Oh, that's a good point. And Cabaret, which I assume is red.
Yeah,
and yes, the
red
Razr Ultra does have a what do you call it? A real wood backing. So for those of us that missed our Moto X's with the sexy bamboo back, you got that. All three will come with Android 15, all three OS upgrades, and 4 years of security. But yeah, I mean, like a really interesting spread. And Motorola has been killing it with the flippable, so you got more choice this year.
You know what was interesting about these three devices, and especially the Ultra? The Ultra has a dedicated AI key, and they all come with
that's right.
Perplexity pre-installed, which has sparked a lot of interesting debates on X between Google and Perplexity.
You can't actually use all of them. It's really interesting because they kind of want to be like whatever your AI flavor of choice, like you can use it. But yeah, the Perplexity comes out the box, and it
comes pre-installed out of the box, but not set as a default out of the box.
Right, not set as a default.
Important distinction there, which Perplexity's been very angry at Google about.
It is the year of the AI dedicated button for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's for
between
sure.
this and OnePlus and nothing, you're not a hip phone in 2025 if you don't have an AI button.
Yeah, I mean, I can go in on my my Pixel and assign Perplexity as my assistant of choice. So you can make that setting. The difference is, of course, that Perplexity is pre-installed as an option. I imagine Gemini is probably still the default, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and all three will support AI features because, again, 2025, everything's got AI. Even your mid-rangers, and that includes things like Catch Me Up, which is like a summary of notifications and messages, Pay Attention, which kind of helps you focus on important elements of a conversation, Remember This, which is saving and organizing important information, not unlike screenshots or something, Next Move, which is using on-screen context to suggest next steps, and Playlist Studio, which suggests playlists based on your current activity. So there you go.
I will give Motorola some credit for their color science in their designs lately. Like,
Love it.
I think in general we're just seeing a lot of really cool, unique things happening in color. But I'm also right now kind of finishing up my Moto G 2025 stylus, whatever they call it. Sorry, not Moto G, Moto Stylus 2025. I can't even remember at this point. Anyways, this is a really striking color in person. I don't know how it comes across on video, but
It looks very bold.
It's nice.
yeah, it's very bold, and it's just a really kind of like saturated, pretty looking blue. And some of the other Motorola phones that I've tested recently, same thing. Like they're doing some really cool things with color and style in the design right now. As a lot of
It
phone
feels like
companies are.
color is like their design standout choice, whereas like nothing has their transparent back
Right.
and like their wacky designs.
Yep,
Moto stands out with color.
totally.
Really quick, speaking of style, a friend of the show, Michael Fisher, his Clicks keyboards already got Razer 2025 models out for pre-order.
Of course.
Smart.
So smart. So,
Smart move.
and for all three models, Ultra Plus and the base model, which is the same as the Razer 60. And actually, the Razer Ultra has the same as Razer 60 Ultra. So anyway, get you some Clicks. There you go, Michael
Cool.
Fisher. Oh, we always throw you some Clicks love when the opportunity arises.
Love it.
Indeed.
Cool.
Excellent stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick breather and take a quick pause, and we'll come back. We've got some app news, and we've heard from you, the audience, with your emails. So, and with that, Jason.
Yeah. Let's do some apps news. You remember assistant driving mode. It's been many things over the years in the Maps app. Before it was ever in the Maps app, it was actually Android Auto, and then they got rid of Android Auto on the smartphone, and then they moved driving mode to the Maps app, and then it got changed from like a big bar to a small little button thingy, and now it has been permanently removed, according to Google. This is, of course, it's Google's transition away from Assistant to Gemini. Probably hear more about this at Google I/O, I'm sure. But yeah, it's now apparently users can enable a floating action button for music controls in the Maps app via settings. You just enable Maps settings, navigation, show media playback controls, and you can activate that. But I have not done that. Yeah. There you go. Are we sad? I mean, it was kind of handy, but it kind of, I don't know.
I feel like every car nowadays has like
controls.
Android Auto or CarPlay, right?
Already has
like-
controls. Yeah, but when you're in a car
most
that
cars
doesn't
nowadays
have
have it.
that,
Right.
it's kind of
Or if your USB connector in your Subaru sucks and you haven't gotten it replaced yet, sometimes you had to rely on it, but that may be a me problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a lot of cars without it, but like it's definitely like the norm now to have a car. I mean, like for most cars within the past like 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, we don't even need to play taps. It's just kind of like, okay, it's done. It's done. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Next
All
up,
right.
Michelle.
Next up is if you hate clutter in your downloads folder, you're gonna love this change because Chrome for Android can finally open PDF files without downloading them.
Oh.
So if you have Chrome
one.
and you download it and you tap on a PDF, it'll open inline in Chrome using the native PDF renderer. So this works. This has been confirmed to work on Android 15 and later. It should work on Android 12 and later as well, although I haven't tested it personally on older Android versions. But Chrome is using Google's new Jetpack support library for PDF, which they announced last year. And this PDF reader is kind of basic, but it does offer some features like a built-in annotation function that you can access by tapping on a pencil. This brings up a bar that includes buttons for like a pen, a highlighter, eraser, undo, and so on. And while there's no built-in search feature into the PDF reader, you can still use Chrome's search function to search within a document. So if you want to find something specifically, that'll work. So this feature, I mean, what can I say? Like, if you hated tapping on a PDF and then you get this pop-up that says, do you want to open in Drive? Do you want to open in OneDrive? You want to open in like 5 different other apps?
Yes.
Now you just tap it, opens in Chrome, and that's it. You don't have to worry about it saving to your downloads folder every single time you open a PDF.
Good change. Yeah, that was always kind of annoying to me. It's like, you should be able to open this. Like, you're
Right.
you're a docs.
It's like it's
type of thing.
2025. It's how hard can PDFs be? Very hard, it turns out.
Apparently so.
And it's such a common file format, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
even like some weird, like an SVG or some weird file that we wouldn't. Yeah.
Right.
So bizarre. All right, and then finally we got a couple of Google Photos things. Some neat things coming from Michelle, your friends over at Android Authority doing their old APK teardown game. First off, Google Photos is working on a way to give you a reminder for Mother's Day to create a highlight video of your favorite memories with your mom. Which is neat in that it's going to show a new Mother's Day card in the Memories carousel that will direct users to the highlight video feature. This is a great, this is a very clever thing, and Mother's Day is an upcoming memorable moment, but I can easily see this applied to other, Father's Day, other kind of moments, that you would want to spotlight and highlight. Although I also, one thing they need to keep in mind, I'm getting lots of direct emails from companies going, we understand that Mother's Day is a sensitive time for people who might not have, your mothers might not be with you anymore. So Google's going to need to navigate that, because if you don't want to be reminded of Mother's Day, that's a pothole they might not want to step into. But it's giving you it's pulling you into this method to help you create a Mother's Day memory, or help you use the highlight video feature, which is neat. So that's nice to see doing that for maybe potential other holidays and things like that. And then additionally, they've got also in the APK teardown, they have a new way to share albums and moments in Google Photos via QR codes. They're testing a new feature that allows you to basically, generate a QR code that will, basically, let you, directly share it with someone to go right to a album or to a memory, which is different than the existing quick share option on individual images, which is handy, and everyone is, more and more comfortable with QR codes, whether they want to admit it or not. So it's interesting to see Google Photos jumping on that bandwagon. That said, I recently got frustrated with Google Photos because having come back from a vacation where me and my wife and sister took hundreds of photos, there still is no way to say, take all these photos and make the best album of all the photos from this collection. Like, I just, I don't have time to go through and pick the best ones. Give me the best moments together.
You can't do that? I thought you could. No?
Yeah. I tried what other tools they have in there, and it came up with dupes or came up with other pictures from other things, or like it just didn't give me the quality that I would expect from it. And Gemini and Google Photos, I'm sorry, is not a good implementation. I have switched back to the classic search more often than not, because I type in "show me pictures of my son" and I get, show me pictures of my son at Disney World, and in April, and I get pictures from 2 years ago, and all this sort, like it is not there.
The promise has not been delivered on with that feature.
Yeah.
And what's weird about that is it seems like it's perfectly, like it seems like a good fit, like it would be a good fit. It would be a good tool for that, but it just does not prove itself. Anytime I try and use it, I expect it to work, and it doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
So yep, there you go.
All right.
That's our app news.
Feedback time.
Yes, time to hear from you, our friends in the audience. You can email us at contact@androidfaithful.com. We love to hear from you. Highlight of my day is seeing emails come into the inbox, and then we often debate over which ones we're going to talk about. But we got 3 emails here, and Wynn, you've got the first one.
Yeah, the first one, we're going to talk about Health Connect, thanks to Brad. Hi, Android Faithful.
Wynn, before you read this came up in last week's episode. I don't know if you listened to last week's episode. But
I did not. I was going to ask. Okay, so what was the discussion around Health Connect? So that
how do we sum up, Michelle, what we talked about with Health Connect?
We were discussing an editorial
Right.
Android Authority about the frustrations with Health Connect and how there's no centralized database for your data. It's all relegated to one phone. So when you have like a phone and a tablet, and you use your phone to go running, all your data that gets synced on your phone is not like synced to your tablet. So that was kind of the issue. It's not like people were kind of expecting an Apple Health kind of situation, but that's not what Health Connect is like on Android phones.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's our words from Brad. Hi, Android Faithful crew. I was listening to your discussion about Health Connect, and I have a slightly different perspective on its purpose. I don't see it so much as an app or database, but more as a cache and API for apps to communicate in a privacy and security preserving way with one another. I believe it is to be used by apps to synchronize data from other apps rather than Health Connect itself being the destination. It allows apps to push and pull data from other apps without having to know what the other apps the user is using are. The idea, as I understand it, is that users would continue to use apps like Google Fit, Fitbit, MyFitnessPal, Garmin as their main destination. Health Connect then facilitates the secure and private exchange of data between these apps. So I could use Fitbit as my main app, but add my workouts from Garmin and view data when meal planning in MyFitnessPal. While Apple's all-in-one approach has its merits and benefits, this approach could be considered to better enable an ecosystem. Best, Brad.
I mean, he's correct in a sense because that is literally the purpose of Health Connect. That is what Google designed it for.
Yeah, and I mean, Brad, I'm honestly 100% with you, my friend. And I think that, as from the developer standpoint, I use a Whoop, and I've been very frustrated for a long time because their integrations are so few. Like for a long time, they only integrated with like Strava, which is a more runner cycling thing, which I don't do either of. And so I think from a developer perspective, it's difficult because, an app would have to partner with another app, support their data exchange, whatever that is, and set that up. Whereas, through Health Connect, I can use whatever I want. And now, now Whoop does support Health Connect as well. And I totally agree with you. I think that it gives you choice. And I think that especially if you're not in Apple's, ecosystem, there's like a huge, array of fitness like bonus apps that, and if you switch between Garmin or Whoop, or if you have like different parts of your fitness life that you want done in different ways, this gives you more options. So I don't know. I'm with you, Brad.
All right. Good insight. Good stuff.
All right. And our next email comes in from Mark Zip, who wrote in to say, Pixel 7a, April 2025 update. After endless nagging, I gave in and installed Gemini. Thought perhaps some of the screen reader functions might be interesting. Today I woke up and said, hey G, play the news. I expected it to play the BBC World Service Radio News and the NPR USA News, as it has for years. Instead, Gemini proceeds to say, sorry, I cannot do that, but here are some headlines, and proceeds to read a ton of poorly selected headlines with no details. I had to tell it to stop. Immediately switch back to Assistant. What's the point of hyping us on improved experiences when you cannot even do something you've been doing for years? Come on, Google. You've got more money and talent than most. How about we add new and interesting stuff and don't subtract useful stuff? Thanks for telling us, Mark. Yeah, that is a frustrating thing. I can see why, especially the transition from Assistant to Gemini. There were so many integrations that Google had built up over the years with Assistant, and then out comes ChatGPT taking the world by storm, and Google had to respond. So they came up with Gemini, and they've been slowly building more and more of the stuff that was in Assistant into Gemini. But there are still some stuff that have not been migrated over, like this world news, this kind of like news integration. Although they have built some new stuff that kind of like are newsy featured, like the daily listen feature in the Google app. If you give that a try, if you have access to that Labs feature, it like basically uses AI to create like a podcast overview of your daily news. So it's not like a one-to-one. It's not like reading news headlines directly from the BBC World News Service or NPR, but it does kind of achieve a similar purpose. But yeah, it is. I can understand it's frustrating. You've been using something for years, and then all of a sudden you switch to something that they're going to force you to switch over to eventually, and it doesn't work.
I thought a lot about this because from the developer standpoint, like there's and and I'm going through this now and my day job, and like there's the concept of like MVP, right? Where like what is the minimum viable product you have to get something out the door, right? And the problem is that when you have a not fully formed, but a very developed product like Assistant, right, that people are comparing it to, and you're in a rush to get something out like with Gemini. Google defined what the MVP for Gemini was, and it fell short of what the user's expectations were, basically, because of the comparisons to Assistant. And what they've dealt with now over the past year are these constant comparisons to it, when maybe they should have held it back and bridged those gaps a little more, or built some way for Gemini to integrate with Assistant more to handle these things. And back in the day, Google could create something and have it not be fleshed out and iterate fast and release features and have it gain momentum and become better over time. And everyone's like, oh, look how fast. Remember, like, Jason, remember, 15, 20 years ago, how fast does Google iterate, right? Like, look how they're doing all these things, right? Where now it's like, look what it doesn't do because it's not iterating fast enough, right? And so it just seems like, they played this hand, not wrong, but they played this hand differently than they used to. I don't know. It was a strategically tough situation, I think. Right. I don't know what I would have done if I was in that position, or what you could have done, especially after reading that Wired article that we keep referencing, what you could have done with the time and how you could have done it and show that impact. But it keeps coming back to it in that it falls short of user expectations. Right.
No matter what, it's hard. It rarely seems like a good idea in practice to replace a feature that a lot of people use with a new technology that doesn't do the same thing. You're gonna tick people off in the process.
I mean, even day to day with UI design, a lot of times, like if you're really careful as like a developer, you don't even want to change the position of a button to like from the bottom left to the bottom right of a screen, because you're messing with people's motor memory. And this is a little bit bigger scope than that, but. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking even just position of buttons, or even like the text, the font maybe being different, messing somebody up. Imagine just like giving them a whole new thing. Like, here, learn this. Mm-hmm. It's difficult. I concur. Like, I've been at companies where we've tried to make shifts like this, and it's tough, man. It's tough.
It's hard out there for developers.
All right, our last email comes from Frederick Seglum, who wrote in a couple of weeks ago, maybe months ago now. We asked you to send in your DeX setups, Samsung DeX setups, and Frederick sent in some photos of a very interesting one. He says, notice the DIY MagSafe Pocket keyboard. So here in his photo, he's holding a pocket keyboard that is where he had a MagSafe kickstand duct taped to a keyboard, where you put the phone on the MagSafe kickstand that is then duct taped to a keyboard. He says, ideal for DeX are those times that you want to have a BlackBerry-ish experience, something at least I won't be using every day, but fortunately it's easy to remove or add. And then he said, also my S25 Ultra has won all the Bluetooth codec. Sorry, my S25 Ultra has all the Bluetooth codecs there is, more or less. I still haven't gotten my desktop PC with Windows 11 and Bluetooth 5.4 to get LE Audio LC3. It does support LDAC after I bought some drivers at bluetoothgoodies.com, but my phone plays everything out of the box. And then he says, yes, it's a Pebble Time Steel, and it lives currently as a weather widget on my desk for the moment. Not a bad use case for a decade-old gadget, at least. And he shared another photo of his desktop, and there where you can see he's listening to music, and he's got his headphones, and he's got all of his various games and things like that on there in his DeX desktop setup.
Love it.
Thanks to all of his connections and things like that.
Audience.
So very cool.
Awesome.
Good setup, Frederick. We appreciate you sending it in. If you got a DeX setup or a Motorola setup or any other weird desktop setup, send in your photos. Email us at contact@androidfaithful.com. Long episode, but we had a lot to talk about. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, everyone. So,
yes, indeed.
All right. I think that's going to wrap us up.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
I'll go. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No. It's my bad. I was forgetting I was doing the top and the tail. Well, that's it for us for the main show on Android Faithful. But yeah, that's where we talk about us. Jason, you go first. My bad.
You know what? I'm just going to say, if you want to support me, just go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful and support there. That's where I'm throwing all my love behind. And then you can find me on socials and YouTube and all that stuff. But just go to our show Patreon, and I implore you to take a look at what we're offering, because we are offering a lot. So hope to see you there.
All right. And Michelle, what are you up to, and what do you want the people to know?
I will second what Jason said. If you want to support us all, go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. Chip in. And we have a lot of new things, exciting things to offer for you guys. And if you want to follow me, you can go to my Linktree page, Linktree/Michelle Rahman. I post on a lot of different social media platforms, and I cover a lot of Android news. I've got some big Android news dropping this week, hopefully. So stay tuned. We'll probably talk about it next week on the show.
Excellent.
Awesome. Ron, sir, Mr. Ron Richards.
Ron XO across socials in some way, shape, or form. You can find me if you just search my name or Ron XO. And echoing everybody else, go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. Check out the new tiers. We hope you choose to support us. We got some more exciting stuff coming. And we thank everybody for your support up till today and beyond into tomorrow. So.
Yep. And I'm the developer, Queen Code Monkey. Randomlytyping.com is my website, but that's it. And that's it for the main show. But if you're a patron, stick around for our after hours, or if you're listening to this async, then go ahead and head to patreon.com. But that is us for this week. This podcast publishes every Tuesday evening. Subscribe at androidfaithful.com. Again, go to patreon.com/androidfaithful and write us your emails at contact@androidfaithful.com. But that is it. We are the Android Faithful, and we'll see you next time.
Yay!
All right, my friends.
All right, we gotta
Pick a title and then
pick
go
a
to the
title and
after
boogie.
show.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. I love all the graphics that you made, Ron. For the
Oh, I'm so glad you liked them.
They're
yeah,
wonderful.
they look great. When I looked at them on the carousel, I was like, oh, that looks so much better.
Yeah. It comes out much. Yeah. 2
Yeah.
years. Imagine how far AI image generation has come in 2 years. Even though feet are weird in a couple of them, but still.
You know, a little weird.
And,
Yeah,
and
that's-
also, it is a lot to be said about our usage of the bug droid and how it's become a part of the show and everything.
totally.
I'm really happy with the header graphic. Actually, I'm really happy that one came out nice. So.
It was really cute.
Yeah.
Those look great.
And there's us.
There we are. All right, af.showbot.tv. Something from nothing is the top.
Nothing puns are just too easy.
Nothing
Yeah.
puns are too easy. Yeah.
That could be the title. Nothing puns are too easy. Less IO, more AI. AF After Hours. Ooh. Coffee AF. Google I/O Leaky Peaky. Less Android at I/O. Android Bubble Bar. And Nothing Steampunk CMF Phone. Nothing is really something. More Android Faithful. AI API II.
Yes.
And Androidinger's Cat or Androidinger's Cat. Bubberding bubber. Burber recoil is subtle. Bug Droid Pinball. Inflexible Android Auto. Welcome to Nothing. Colorful flippable razors. Sexy bamboo back. Google creates Mother's Day memories. Oh, it's hard out there for a dev. What stands out to y'all?
Colorful flippable razors. That's hard to pronounce. Hard to say.
Colorful
Colorful
Flippable
flippable
razors.
razors.
Say that
Colorful
5 times fast.
flippable razors.
I do like it though.
Colorful flippable razors. Yeah, I could do that one. Sure. Any other
Unless you think something Google I/O will get
druthers?
SEOE
Nah,
levied by
does SEO matter anymore?
Eh.
What triggers the
that's
AI overview?
Yeah, which seriously. Nice.
That's so true.
Bubble bar. I have a bubble bar.
Bubble bar?
Bubbling bubble bar.
Bubbling bubble bar?
I like the bubbling bubble bar.
The bubbling bubble bar. Okay. Do we want to do that one?
Sure.
Do we have consensus?
We do. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. I love an alliteration.
The bubbling bubble bar. The bubbling bubble bar. Okay. How do we do the after show thing now?
So
I guess we got to stop going
yeah,
live.
we got to stop that in the live stream. So we love our live stream friends, but it's Patreon only. So we want to thank everyone for enjoying the show. And
Thank you.
We hope you consider, for those of you who are watching live, if you've enjoyed the show live, we hope you consider supporting us over on Patreon. But if not, you're free to continue to enjoy it for free. And we'll be back next week with another show.
And then for patrons, so at least at this point, the after hours is not a live thing. It
Oh,
is
my
not a
bad.
live thing. It's
my
it
bad.
is-
I
it's-
implied that it was. My bad.
It is a recording. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's a recorded thing. It's just easier lift for us to just bounce in there, record it.
Correct.
And then you're gonna get it in your Patreon feed, right?
Yeah. It'll show up as another post, right? Correct.
It'll just show up as
and
another
you
post.
can either watch the video on Patreon or it also will be available. You can listen to the audio if you want to. So
Well, yeah. So let me think about that because
we should do that offline. But we don't need to split it. Basically, you upload it and Patreon handles it. The Patreon platform handles it that way.
so if a patron is subscribed to the ad-free feed,
Yep.
they will definitely get it in their feed.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Yep.
I want to make sure that they don't have to go to the Patreon site to check it out. So,
Yep.
Okay, cool, great, awesome.
All right.
So look for that in your feed later. Yeah, that's what we got right now. I hope you guys like it.
Cool.
Yay! Thanks, y'all. We're gonna end the stream and
Night.
we're gonna kick off the next part of our jobs.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night.